afternoon. Unlike the provost, the secret to my resilience in the face of failure is a stunning lack of self-awareness and the ability to rationalize almost anything that's happened to me. I had a choice today whether to talk to you about the true failure of my life or my career failures, and I chose to talk about my career failures. The true failure in my life has been my experience playing golf. And it's a very good example of like playing the violin, where the fear of failure interferes with your performance so that not only do you fail, but you never get better. And so as I look forward to my retirement next year, I may have the rest of my life be a complete wipeout. So I decided to talk about career, and when I retire next June, I will have had a 44-year career in higher education. And also I will have been married for 44 years. Those are both good things. What's depressing is that many of you don't have parents who are 44 years of age, and that's, so I'm gonna hold on. In terms of my administrative life, I've had 4 jobs that I actually competed for and earned. I was first an Associate Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at the University of California at Davis. And then I came here to be the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at UNC Charlotte. And then I went to be President of the University of Wyoming. And then I came back as Chancellor 15 years ago. That's 4 good jobs, 4 successes. But I probably lost 20 jobs to get those 4. That is, I competed, interviewed, and didn't get 5 times as many jobs as I ever received. And they were all jobs that I thought I was the perfect candidate. Perfect. My real crash and burn story had to do about 10 or 12 years ago with the University of Arizona. And as much as I love being Chancellor at UNC Charlotte, about 10 years ago, I was approached by a headhunter to compete for the job of President of the University of Arizona, which is a top 20 public university, and it would have doubled my salary overnight. So I prepared extremely well. I obviously had a good bit of experience. I made 4 cross-country trips to Phoenix to interview with the search committee. And every time, the field got smaller and smaller and smaller. So it went from 20 to 10 to 5, and so forth. The search consultant said I was the strongest candidate in the field. And I made the mistake of believing it. So I set myself up. But I'll come back to Arizona in just a bit. And the reason I remember this failure so significantly was it was the year UNC Charlotte went to the College Cup in men's soccer. And I was on an airplane going to interview for the 3rd time when my team was down competing for the national championship. So it was kind of painful in retrospect in a lot of ways. But we're not going to lose this bowl. Okay. So here's what I've learned from that and some other experiences. By the time you get into an interview situation, all of the finalists are very well qualified on paper. And what it's going to come down to is your ability to convince that organization, in my case a university, that I was the best possible fit and I had the best set of ideas about the future of their organization. And what you have to do, of course, is prepare. You've got your experience, but you've also got to know as much about that organization or institution as they do. And you do that by doing your homework. You go online, you read everything you can about them. If you know anybody who works there, you call them up and ask them about the institution and its trajectory. And so you need to be very, very well prepared. But what I like to tell people is no matter how well prepared you are, getting these jobs sometimes is about as likely as getting hit by lightning. And so you have to be able to just move on forward. And I'll give you a couple of examples. One of the very first jobs I tried to get was Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences at Emory University. I was 40 years old, but I looked 30. And I went to the hotel, got ready for dinner with 2 members of the search committee, went downstairs, walked into the restaurant, and there were 2 graybeards there in tweed jackets smoking pipes. I knew instantly I was not getting that job because I wasn't old enough. That's just the way it was. So like I said, stunning lack of self-awareness and the ability to rationalize can come in. Another time, I was a finalist for the provost job at SUNY Binghamton, and I was down to the last two, a very well-qualified woman candidate and me, and I did not get that job. And the president told me directly, he said, "You're both very well qualified, but she's smarter than you are, and I need diversity in my cabinet." And I said, "Well, thanks a lot," but I didn't get that job. So, and I happen to agree with the instinct to make sure you have diversity in your senior ranks. Another time, I went down to be in a search in a very prominent southeastern research university, and I was down to the final two, and it turned out they decided they would hire someone from the inside rather than me coming from the outside, and they said they were just more comfortable with someone from the inside than someone from the outside. Well, they knew that when they started the search. And what you need to know, again, stunning lack of self-awareness and the ability to rationalize, is to understand that not all searches are real searches. And you may get caught up in that, and it hurts because you've spent so much time thinking about what you would look like in that role. So that brings me back to Arizona. It turned out the woman that got the job was the former president of Temple University. And after the fourth interview, I was not asked to be the candidate that they march onto the campus to present to the campus constituents. So, okay, fine. Couldn't quite understand that because I had known this person, and I knew for a fact that she hadn't been renewed at Temple because of job performance issues. Well, about a week after she got that job, I got a call from the chair of the trustees at Temple. And he wanted to know if I wanted to be a candidate for her job that she had just left. And I thought, well, that's odd. And I said, no, I don't really think I want to live in Philadelphia. Sorry. But it turned out, in fact, the search consultants had not checked out her situation, and they had never called the board chair at Temple. And so 5 years later, she was out at Arizona, and of course, I'm still here now enjoying my future retirement in Charlotte. So, I think what I want to say to you is that when you go into job situations like this, there's always some degree of uncertainty. You should always prepare at a high level, but set your expectations at a low level. Because there are just too many things that are irrational about job selection processes. And I think that's true in almost any industry you can look at. There's no sense beating yourself up for a disappointing outcome when there's so many other factors that have nothing to do with you that can lead to another person getting the job that you really wanted. And again, I go back, stunning lack of self-awareness and the ability to rationalize has kept me pretty resilient. I wish that were true in my golf game. Not true. I often use a saying around here, if you take a new job, you should go in fired with enthusiasm, and after that, your goal is to avoid going out the same way. You don't want to be fired with enthusiasm. There we go.